I liked it.
I love it.
Like I thought it was weird at the beginning, and not like good weird, just kind of weird. Like moderate weird. And it definitely grew on me over the course of it. And I it was really pretty. Like I found myself really enjoying how it looked the entire time. I never really disliked anything about it. And I ended up caring about the both of the main characters, which surprised me because initially I was like, I'm not gonna like this after the shooting, and then everything that happened with that, and then the scene in the tent. I was like, but they both grew on me over the course of it, and I ended up really enjoying it more than I thought from the beginning. And I definitely think it's worth going on that journey with them.
The world building and the attention to detail in this movie.
I really want to know what Harden thought about this film.
Because I'm the sci-fi guy.
Well, I mean, we're all kind of we all like sci-fi, but yeah, you're the sci-fi guy.
Yeah, I think we're all sci-fi guys here, pretty much.
I like to think
I mean, to a degree, but you might be the most extreme degree.
All right. Well, you're right, Jared. I have a lot to say about this movie, but first of all, I really liked it. I loved. Interesting, that Tad said that he didn't like the beginning, because to me the space travel stuff at the beginning was exquisite.
Oh, I'm sorry. That part I liked. It's after that. It's the rest of the setup up until
getting to the planet, getting out there with Dad and seeing that stuff. Sure. Yeah. And to me, I was like, I don't know. Okay. And then Pedro Pascal comes in and it's like, okay, now we're clicking. But the first 10 or 15 minutes when they're in space, and they can't spend more time in space because of the budget, obviously, they got to get down to the planet, right?
Yeah.
But what they did with their budget was just, I see you nodding, Chris. It's
okay, you see this too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good enough.
It's the sets which don't look art directed.
No.
I mean, we've seen a lot of grubby used sci-fi sets up to this point. They're not all pristine. In 2001 Star Wars, everybody does it, but they always look kind of art directed. This looked like Skylab or something. It was just kind of beige and crummy and kind of dirty because they'd been living in it for so long. And I loved that about it. I loved how the characters were so laissez-faire about their, we're in space, we're doing our job.
I love the fact that she uses that little booklet to go through the
figure shit out.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows every button to push.
Yeah.
Right.
There was stuff that was really good in Gravity. Was the same thing. Like they get the manual out and they got to go through the manual.
Yeah.
The laminated manual with the spiral.
The other thing it got really, really right, and I was just in heaven with this, was the way they worked the lighting, for one thing, which was clearly coming from a star, a sun, and whenever the ship moved, they moved that light source through the room, and it looked just like footage from the International Space Station or whatever. That was just fucking great. And then also where they show their choice of shots all looked like they were motivated in that it wasn't an omniscient camera that could be anywhere it wanted to show you what was happening in space. It was either a camera that was locked down somewhere on the outside of the spaceship, or it was on the space station looking at the spaceship. It was sort of a limited view of what was happening. And so, are they re-entering? They're getting close to the surface? I don't know, but there's the parachutes up in the air. Oh, okay, I guess we're getting close to the surface now. It felt so real, and it was so well done. It was just exquisite, I thought.
I'm sure none of you have any experience with the video game Prey that came out a couple of years ago, but you do? So did any of the space stuff remind you of Prey? Because I definitely had that like corporate weird space, and like we're sending poor working class people to space to do working class things, and we're not giving them the best stuff, and something out there might kill them, but we're gonna give them $100,000 to their family if they get murdered by aliens. Like it felt like that to me. It felt like corporate space.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Yeah.
I thought it was So the world building, like not since Blade Runner do I remember watching a science fiction movie where so many things are just sort of casually thrown out in the vernacular, and they're clearly like maybe not what the thing is called, but what everybody calls the thing.
Right.
And I've seen so many movies do that poorly that this one it never felt inauthentic. And just like I said, the attention to detail and the world building side of it.
The world felt lived in.
It felt, well, it just felt complete, and it felt
wallowed in, actually.
And I thought it was really clever because I don't think this movie cost very much money, but I gather that all of the scenes on the green were shot in like Olympia, Washington.
Oh.
And they made it look one thing that they chose to do, which was, I'm just going to fill the air with that dust, which could have been a gimmick, but I actually thought it made it feel otherworldly.
But you know, it's there in the short too.
Oh, is it?
First, I thought it was like, actually, are they doing CGI? Or
it's actually better. It's actually better in the short. It looks more like little pieces.
Oh,
of cotton.
It makes the air look not breathable, which is the point of it.
Right.
That is not practical effect. That is a filter that you put digitally in your footage afterwards.
But
it looked better. It looked better in the short because it looked like little teeny pieces of cotton.
Yeah, it did.
It wasn't like little light particles, and it was really cool.
Well, little teeny pieces of cotton wouldn't get into your wound.
Yeah, little tiny light particles are actually way worse.
I would
as
imagine.
we all found out this summer.
You can't breathe in cotton pieces, dude.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, and then the other, so I thought it was interesting the way that the what are they called, gems are basically harvested like oysters. I thought that was sort of clever. But then here comes Pablo, and it's like, dude, what are you like? Wow, that's a choice. Like that. What's coming out, and then what it reminded me of, and I don't know who's seen Bone Tomahawk. Okay,
wow.
I was reminded of Bone Tomahawk because the characters in that movie have the same kind of like weird, like, what the fuck is coming out of your mouth right now? It's like Shakespeare, like iambic pentameter, but it kind of worked for his character, and I thought it was like at first it sort of
it did.
You mean like Cloud? You like Cloud Atlas kind of?
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time with somebody who doesn't talk.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you say fucking Cloud Atlas?
Every third
Excellent
sentence, I've understood only one out of every 3 sentences in this film. I started
didn't have
watching
that
it,
issue.
and it would like, well, let's go down here. Well, blah, 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 blah. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And it was keep going like that over like sensible, nonsensible lingo from the future. Not supposed to understand. I had to turn the subtitles on after a while because if I didn't do that, I would not understand what the fuck is going on.
Well, that's just because you're old.
No, that's not because I'm old. Because they were trying for this kind of this stilted, futuristic kind of lingo thing, and it ended up because everyone's wearing space helmets. You can't understand what the hell they're saying. You know, it's like.
Well, at least they got the sound effect from talking through a helmet correct.
And also, I don't know about you. I thought the stuff in the beginning in outer space was great. It was beautifully done, like John said. It was just, justified lighting, and the gravity effects were great and all that stuff like that. But once they were on the planet, I knew they were in Ontario, and I never stopped thinking they were in Ontario. Not once. They could have done a lot of Ontario harvesting giant David Lynch sperms under the ground.
This entire thing was shot. This entire thing was shot out back of a Tim Hortons.
Yeah, pretty much. You could walk up behind a Timmy's in Hamilton and see all this stuff. I didn't buy for a second that this was an alien land. It just was a bunch of guys running around Canada making a cheap movie.
But you can't breathe in Canada either, so I don't.
True. Good point.
Jim, what'd you think?
What?
What'd you think?
I liked it from beginning to end. This was like the week where I enjoyed myself watching.
Wow.
It didn't feel like homework.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Also, this guy, like, I want another movie about this guy.
He had a lot going on. That guy, yeah, he was.
Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, and then he just murders the shit out of them. Like,
but it's pretty convenient that he doesn't murder the 2 of them.
Yeah,
because he's got no beef with them.
He shoots them.
No. He's got no beef with them.
Right? They walk by. He sees them. They look at him.
I don't believe him. He's like a boot camp reject who's like 24. It was stupid.
Okay.
No, but like, cast
a different actor.
I just want to know what the deal is. Like,
also, One thing I liked about it, the thing, and this was kind of cool, is that when the dad was still alive before he got whatever, they had a process for harvesting these things into these valuable eggy little, I guess, egg diamonds, whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah, because they had a yolk, right? There's a white part and a yolk, and so they had this process that they would do that. Oh, pour this in, then pour this in, and pull this out, but don't do this. And it was very touchy.
Don't fuck it up.
You don't fuck it up. And he ended up doing it, and at the end, they couldn't do it at all.
Yes.
They couldn't.
Kind of love that was a plot point.
miserably, and that's why it's
done. Yeah. He was doing it with one hand.
His left hand.
I know. Yeah. Well, either way,
okay.
By the way, as I said, keep going until you hit bone. Was far more horrifying to me than anything that happened in Possessor. Like that. Like, and it all happens off screen, and it's all done with audio.
Wasn't it weird that she did it with all the reaction of like a fucking teenager on her cell phone?
But no, it literally said that she had to wash the blood out of her hair for an hour every night because
I think that was thrown in perhaps because she can't act like she's doing something horrific.
No, I'm backing Jared in this one.
That's convenience garbage, dude. I'm gonna go. Listen, this is clearly like the short is amazing. You watch the short, and what you see in the short is you see people who have no money, and people who are obviously very talented and who love sci-fi and want to make a sci-fi movie. But you also see this, like, they can't let go of their hipsterism, and they can't let go of so there's way too much time spent on like the actual like gears and gadgets and the starting of the ships. And why am I watching for half an hour people push fucking buttons and crank things and you might argue that, hey, that would be realistic because, we're in space and these are spaceships. But you also might argue that these guys are so fucking in love with the set that they've created that they're going to milk the shit out of it.
Yeah, because we don't give a budget building.
Where's the story?
They spent the other half of the budget.
Space Western people too, right?
I thought the story was it's like, I mean, shit on Mandalorian all you want. Space Westerns are back. There's no subplots. It's like
I'm not saying they're not, but even look at the
we gotta get the fuck off this planet.
It's just like this whole movie's like a double-edged sword for me because at one second I'm like, these outfits are cool because they're obviously thrown together by like someone's grandma sewed them and like put the tubes on them and shit. Like these are like bad Halloween costumes from like the 80s or 70s that like someone made. But that's kind of cool.
Have you not seen what SpaceX's fucking current spacesuit looks like?
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It looks got no seams on it.
But it looks like the white version of his spacesuit. Like, that's what they look like.
The inside of Elon Musk's spaceship looks like an Apple store. It's gorgeous.
But Elon, no. Hold on. Yes, that's true, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the spacesuit, the way that the spacesuit looks, the lines of it, the helmet, all of that stuff looks like modern spacesuits that are being made by for-profit companies. This is a for-profit company in the future that's making spacesuits that are good enough for somebody to go out and take diamond poplars.
None of them were streamlined, though. They were all different looking.
Actually,
No, but they're different companies. Every different company has their own version of what this is.
And that's a different point than what Jared was saying, which was that they looked bad or cheap or unbelievable. I thought they looked good.
But I'm saying they look. I think they look like current space.
I'm saying it's kind of both. I'm saying on one hand, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's refreshing. Like you don't see that all the time. But on the other hand, I'm saying, well, you're showing your budget because Tad has said this before, but this movie was made for $11. This movie was made for $11. And
$3 of those were spent on making this guy pink.
Yeah.
He
didn't look good. He didn't look
and
good.
Another $3 was on Pedro. But anyway.
No, I'm going to argue that this is kind of a science fiction thing that John would understand is that this planet isn't like the air is breathable, but it's got stuff in it. So the filter thing in the front is how they can breathe. It filters out all those little white things flying around there. So they don't need great spacesuits. They just need something they can filter air out of. And that showed. It was weird enough. It actually came through really well. Because you can cobble together a cheap little spacesuit. As long as the filter is working, you're good. That makes sense, right?
That would make more sense than
that was happening. I understood that perfectly.
Well, Jim? Here, go ahead, Jim.
I also like the fact that the spacesuits were all different
Yes.
That's true.
because it's not central casting or the corporation.
And you don't. It's not zero G. You don't need a great spacesuit.
Right.
The
Small-
daughter and the father have higher quality spacesuits because they're void workers, so they have to have it. The other people are ground workers in a place that is 90% habitable.
Right.
And claim jumpers.
Yes,
I
and
think,
claim
I think that the directors of this film were more interested in the world building and the gadgets and the spaceships and the story than they were in directing the actors, because I thought that the performances, though they weren't bad because they cast good people, but no one made an interesting or exciting choice with their character. No one did anything that wasn't sort
You
of
don't
like.
think Pedro Pascal made an interesting choice with his character?
No, I thought he was like I think all of
he's channeling Han Solo a little bit.
Well, you're
I'll
kind of
say
like
that.
from a director's standpoint and an actor for that matter. Like I felt like they probably talked about their characters for maybe 5 minutes tops to everyone on this fucking movie.
And he was in a spacesuit. You could put Ethel Merman in that spacesuit.
No, it just there was nothing.
Yeah, that's
like,
a joke.
No one was like human in this movie.
I want to see that though.
I want to see Ethel Merman in and out of her space.
Damn right.
Okay, well,
I thought Pedro Pascal kind of elevated this movie. I thought he did good.
Yeah,
like
just
the fact that he
because
spoke.
the movie's surrounded by these are all indie actors except for him perhaps and
Well, that's one of the Duplass brothers playing the dad, right?
Yeah,
he
that's-
did a pretty,
I know.
he did a pretty good job too.
Yeah. No, actually, we should let's touch gingerly on the psychosexual aspect of this film. What's going on? I mean, the girl's dad dies, and he attaches himself to his dad's killer, and it's tough for a while. But after a while, she's kind of okay with him. What's going on?
I'm actually more.
She cut off his fucking arm.
Yeah, but
you have more sympathy for someone when you cut their fucking arm off.
Because
I couldn't
Oh,
tell
this
though,
is
Kat,
good.
because she cut his fucking arm off like she was making toast.
No, again,
What the fuck?
she went to a
She
weird
used to work on
mental
a
place.
whaling
Just
ship.
Right. She went to a weird mental
Bullshit.
place
They're
because
explaining garbage, dude. Like
no, literally, like this girl has not had a childhood.
No.
She's been a laborer her
I have
entire
another point.
life.
I want to
another
vote
point.
you off the island.
She's been a laborer her entire life, and
She apparently
all she
also-
is a cog in this machine.
And she
She's
also
just
apparently doesn't love her father because he dies and she didn't cry once.
Lots of people don't.
Was that
cry.
good or bad?
Lots of people don't cry
That's
when
fucking
traumatic.
stupid, dude.
Lots of
Your
people
dad
don't cry
just
when
died?
traumatic incidents happen.
I loved my father, and I didn't cry when he died.
Well, and
Oh.
also,
Well,
and
then
also
you're a
Took him
fucking monster.
years.
I hated
People-
my dad, and I cried when he died. So what's
people
that?
get-
There you go.
Crying is not an indication of anything.
like she's in the middle of a survival situation.
Maybe not in real life, but in movies, it definitely is, Jim.
Yeah, well, that's what's wrong with movies.
Well,
Yeah, that's what's wrong with
aesthetic.
movies.
Okay. All right. Coming
We're
out of this-
changing the name of this. We're changing the name of this episode to "That's What's Wrong with Movies."
Coming out of this rather spectacular tailspin of a conversation we just had, I got the impression that she sees things as kind of situational. She's with her dad.
Pragmatic.
Yeah,
She's very pragmatic.
Listen.
Yeah, she's a survivor.
she's a survivor.
ahead.
Yeah, she shows these survival
She can
instincts
feel
right there at
guilty
the
about
end.
it after she
Well,
gets off
at the
the
last
plane.
scene, she had this weird smile on her face when she was going back up to the station. Not because she survived, but I think that she was thinking about something else.
How about this? Here's a question, though.
Okay.
When she finally tells Pedro's,
How many things you got
Character.
ready to go?
Got one for each of you fuckers.
when she finally tells fucking Pedro's character her name,
Mhm.
I didn't give a fuck. And I feel like if this movie was good, I should have gave a fuck.
Mhm.
No, I also
That
didn't give
should
a
have
fuck.
been
I
a
also
moment.
didn't give a fuck, but I also think the movie's good.
Yeah.
Couple. I'm going to just give Jared FYI the dust was practical. They threw basement dust in the air and filmed it, and then this movie cost
Really?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
That just
cool.
means
Everyone's gonna die of radon poisoning.
No. What that means is in a room, they turned on their camera, they threw some dust up, they filmed it with black behind it, and then they fucking digitally put that over the entire movie. It's still not fucking practical. That no one's out there with a fucking snow machine in the fucking jungle throwing shit down in front of every scene. They're not doing
It's a
that. They don't have the money to do that. This movie was made for $11.
$3.9 million is a matter of practicality.
That's actually not a bad little budget.
Yeah, seriously.
But
I tell
every
ya,
dollar's
I'm
on
a-
the screen as far as
I
I'm
can make the
concerned.
world's best Christian movie for $3.9 million.
Here's the weirdest thing.
You can make 17 Christian movies for $3.9 million.
No, but I can make the world's best Christian movie for
Yes,
$3.9
you
million.
could.
Why do I have a feeling it would end up like Inchon?
Here's
Do you want to come with me and build a bridge? We'll do it.
Yeah.
Here's the
Build a
surprise though.
bridge.
I didn't hate this movie. I kind of like it actually. I'm just fucking
You're just
nitpicking. dude.
incapable of saying it.
No, I just fucking did. I just
He's,
did.
he can't say that he
Well,
likes
what are you
two movies
saying?
in the same week. That's against the rules.
I thought I had a lot of good ideas.
That is against the rules. I just think that this movie couldn't get it. This movie can't get out of its own way, but it's still pretty good.
That's
Can
pretty
we
much it.
permanently move this to 8:30 because I really like 8:30 Jim.
That's
I
because
like.
fucking
I'm trying to get
punch
used to
drunk.
8:30 Jim. It's a J30
I don't
Jim
like
is fun.
8:30 Jim because he just yells at me.
No, I'm with Jared on this one. I thought that this film was. I'm glad I saw it, but it had a lot of flaws and it had a hard time overcoming them. But there were so many intriguing ideas in there that it was worth watching.
But they're like this. I feel that this movie is constantly shooting itself in its own foot. Like, even though it's got really, really good shoes on.
I just wish they, remember Oh Brother Where Art Thou,
Does that
right?
make
The way,
sense? I
they,
don't know
the
what
way
that
they did the color in the backgrounds in Oh Brother, they could have done that here, and they should have, because I couldn't get my head out of Canada in this entire
Yeah,
movie.
what was the budget on Oh Brother?
You know what? There was a buster because that was made in 1999, 2000, and back then that kind of digital intermediate cost a ton of money.
Yeah,
But here's
well,
but here's the thing. John knows this too. Here's the thing though. When you have I'm surprised this movie, because the short film was they got to make this movie based on how good the short film was, and I'm sure the short film had not a big budget or whatever. But John knows this as well though. When you have very little money and you want to make a movie special or look good, typically you would go in on the acting and the characters, not the world. And I feel like this movie did the opposite.
Okay. Well, it sounds like
This
comment,
this
so I
movie doubled
will.
down on the world and didn't give a shit about the characters.
But I think it's telling a really simple story. It's true.
Yes, exactly. It didn't need that much character development. It wasn't earth-shattering in terms of story. And in fact, that would be
purely survival most of the time. I have
yeah,
to work with this guy because otherwise it's mutual. I'm going to die on this fucking planet.
as a sci-fi guy, that would be my biggest criticism, is that it's basically a Western. You could drop this into, silver mining Alaska or gold rush California and tell the same exact story. There's really nothing science fictional about the concept except that it's on another planet.
It's a little bit like True Grit.
Hold on, I have to change back to this. I have to change back to this background for a second, because that's what the space is going to be like. It's definitely going to be like Gold Rush,
The final
because
frontier.
it's just going to be corporations going out there and going, take everything you possibly can and fuck over the natives.
Yeah.
Also, when I see that shot that Jim has behind him, when I saw that, all I thought about was Melancholia, which is a much better film.
Melancholia is a much better movie.
Also,
I don't disagree with you, but I like this movie.
Also,
No.
does anyone think?
That's the best I'm gonna get from Jim. Like,
For the record, Chad, I get what you're saying, and it's very true. Yes, corporations will exploit resources and wherever they go, but that's not why I watch science fiction.
The first Alien.
I mean, I want to see something
and the second Alien.
science fictional.
No, John, you want to be challenged by new ideas and new concepts and real alien stuff.
There
You
are
wanna
no
see
new
that kind of thing.
ideas.
Which is why I thought that digging for those little spermy things and
But,
processing was
part
so
of-
great, the good science fiction, because it was so weird and unexplainable.
Did you
we
not?
saw the
Did
world
you
building.
hold on? Did you not get a Poplars vibe from this? The
Yes.
Futurama Poplars.
Well,
Yeah,
a little bit.
like the
I like how they skimmed over the whole thing. That like they are harvesting.
Oh, you know what's going on? It's
animals.
actually inobtainium. It's a shit from Avatar.
The
Yeah.
parents of
record-
all of these eggs are going to show up on Earth in 20 years, and they're going to be fucking pissed off.